a lot was happening. So today is 15th of June. It's a Thursday. On this day, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury, Professor Njoroge, accompanied by his two principal secretaries, will go to Parliament this afternoon and not do what used to happen before 2010. Okay, where the Cabinet Secretary will go to Parliament and say this is what the government is going to do next year and this is the new law that takes place. I remember in the 80s when CTU were teaching, I was a young man growing up, and I remember budget day was a big day. Everybody would be sitting around the radio and waiting to hear bei ya nini imepanda, because that's exactly what used to happen.
Yep.
The finance minister would go to Parliament and now start saying, because those were the days of price controls, right? He would say, the price of maize flour is going up by X. The price of cigarettes is going up by Y. They're even going to the price of eggs.
Yep.
Basically, you would know on budget day is when you're knowing whether prices are going up, down, or remaining the same. That was the significance of budget day. Then over time, we started now having participation of Parliament, greater and greater participation of Parliament. And what then would happen is the finance minister, let's say in the 90s into the early 2000s, would go to Parliament, and what they would do is basically give a policy statement and then give the tax proposals, the revenue raising measures. And the revenue raising measures is where he'd say, I am proposing to raise X tax by X amount of money, so that we can raise by X amount or percentage, so we can raise X amount of money. And by the minister going to Parliament on that Thursday afternoon and making that declaration, some of it would become effective immediately. Midnight, bei ya pombe inapanda, because a minister alikuja kasema excise duty is going up, things like that. And it would be, now we have a constitution that says Parliament is the one that makes the budget. So the finance minister sends a proposal to Parliament, and Parliament then discusses it, and Parliament approves it. That's why now we have the CS sending various documents to Parliament ahead of time. The budget policy statement, which gives the policy direction of the government in the next 12 months. And then they come in with the budget estimates where he starts saying, I'm proposing to spend 3.7 trillion shillings in the next year. And this is how much we're going to give this ministry, this department, this agency. And Parliament has to go through it item per item and say yes or no. And then he also, the CS for Treasury, comes with a finance bill and says, this is how I'm proposing to finance that 3.7 trillion shillings. Revenue measures, these are the taxation measures. I am proposing this, and Parliament is the one that says yes or no. So when you see the Professor Njoroge going to Parliament this afternoon, mostly what we expect is for him to speak of the policy direction and programmatic focus of the government over the next 12 months.
You know what is of interest in the years you speak of, Eric, is that there are people who would play this ping-pong game of trying to anticipate the commodities whose prices might be raised. So there'd be a shortage.
They'd start hoarding. Yes.
A couple of weeks before the budget day, certain items. Now, I always used to think to myself, what if you hoard it and the price goes down?
Yes, as would happen many times. People are hoarding bread, nini, goes down. Unachomeka. Unachomeka. So Parliament is the one that is actually making the budget. Yesterday, they passed stage 2, the second reading of the finance bill. Basically, they accepted some of the amendments that were proposed by the Committee on Finance and National Planning. There was some big-time debate and then voting. And the recommendations of the Finance Committee were approved by a majority, more than double of the majority.
That was present.
Yes, said yes. And then the others said no. There were many who were not present.
Where were they?
Out on other business.
Okay, let me ask you. Students are going to sit KCPE in November, end of November, isn't it? For 3 days. Crossing over November till December.
Yes.
You prepare a whole 7 years of your primary education. Then now, in the first term of your 8th year, you finish the syllabus, right? Then in the second term, you start to revise from standard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, until the third term, the revision is complete. Then now you sit the exam. On the day of the exam, you now come and say, I was a bit busy, so I was not able to come, and so I failed the exam. Does that make any sense to you?
No.
Where were you? What other possible important thing could you be doing on the day that you have prepared for, that you've shouted about, that you've brought Kenyans into, up and down, making noise, shouting, doing this, that? What other more important thing would you have been doing on the day that 92 of you were not in parliament? Where were you? What were you doing? Why? Were you sick? All of you were sick? What important thing was it that you needed to do that was not as important as being in parliament to legislate on something that was going to affect the way that a government is going to spend money over the next 365 days? I don't get it, man. I don't understand.
You know, every so often, members of parliament are engaged on parliamentary business in and out of parliament. For example, as we speak, there is a parliamentary thingy-majiggy happening in Morocco, where Kenyan members of the National Assembly and senators are attending.
And there are 92 of them.
92 of them.
No. There are several, okay? Others are elsewhere. Maybe a certain committee on this and this has gone for a meeting. Remember the other day we had a committee member for health, Anthony Kibagendi, and he was telling us about a training that he had attended in Israel. And it was a rigorous training, right? As members of the health committee, this has been scheduled well in advance. You've been invited well in advance. You've scheduled to travel well in advance. And you've gone for this particular business because it's also important. So if you happen to be absent from parliament, it's not necessarily because you are just sitting at home and
Eric,
watching it on TV
Eric,
and saying, Nimehepa usiwaambie.
No.
Not everybody.
Mba. No.
What?
Mba. What else would you have been doing if you're outside of the country and it was pre-planned? Okay, maybe somebody can give you some leeway and say, all right, this one was a bit engaged. But then all of you have been milling around parliament doors for the last 3 weeks. All of you have been from one media house to the next talking about this, that, the other thing. You've all been engaged in this, in what you call has been public participation, in one of the singular most important things when it comes to legislation and representation on your part. Then you're suddenly missing? Absolutely not. Then that is a seriousness with which they take things, governance in this country and leadership. I'm sorry. There's very little that you'll be able to say that will convince me that there was something more important than how the government is going to spend money on the next 365 days in this country.
Please remember,
and it all rests on your shoulders as the legislature.
Let me remind you, this is the second reading. There is still a third reading.
Now, if this is any indication of what happened during the second reading, what will happen during the third?
See, that's the one where everybody will make sure they're present. Because the third reading is where you pass the bill or you reject the bill.
Exactly. And if you're behaving like this, when you've not even reached the part where you're supposed to pass the thing, where were you?
Now what are you saying?
Where were you? You're giving
do you
indication
understand
of
what she's saying?
He does.
I understand what she's saying perfectly.
What did she say?
Every time we discuss our members of parliament, I have to belabor the process of trying to find good or trying to find any positive adjective by which to describe them. But the point you make is valid, because it isn't as though parliamentarians just go to parliament, that's all they do the whole day long, the whole week long, the whole month long. There are places they go to. I understand all that. But the truth of the matter is those numbers are a bit daunting. 92 is many.
Come on, man.
Okay? If you said 5, 10, let's be generous. Let's even say 20.
Let's even say 30.
Yes, 92.
Out of 349.
Yes, exactly.
A woman minus
Almost
92.
a third. Almost a third.
Almost. See?
Almost a third.
30%.
My friend, 30% is what they remove from your salary, man. You say almost a third when it comes to
we
the
are
tax
pitching
they
a fit
remove
over
from your salary.
3%.
Come on,
Now
man.
30%, 10 times that amount. I mean, those numbers are daunting. We can talk around it as much as we like, but unfortunately, even if everything that you say, Eric, was true, the unfortunate thing, remember the story of the boy who cried wolf, Aesop's fables. There are far too many issues on which I, being a member of the public and a citizen of this country, have felt the parliament has dropped the ball. So it is a lot easier for me to believe that they've dropped it yet again, even if they haven't. I am more inclined to disbelieving that they're capable of anything good, even if they actually are. And by the same token, even when they do something which is positive, I'm likely to look for the most negative aspect of whatever it is that they've done. So, in this instant, as you say, there'll be a third reading.
Yes.
Let me just make your life easier, even if there was a fourth one, okay? Just for the sake of it, in case some people didn't make up their minds.
Then they say, let's turn everything.
So,
and say,
yes,
okay,
and
let's
they
even do number five.
and they hadn't come back from Morocco. Okay, even that had happened, all right? You see, you cannot talk about intentions. Intentions become a reality when they're demonstrated. And we look at demonstration, all right?
Yes.
So, I will hold my horses for the time being, and I will wait for that third reading. But in the meantime, I would urge Kenyans who are
of goodwill.
Yes, who are inclined towards interceding in prayer for this particular country to focus their prayers on the members of parliament that we have in this country, okay? That the good Lord may talk to them and touch their hearts, and that they may depart from the evil ways that end up disenfranchising the citizens who voted for them, because it's important. And while they're praying, they should also pray for the president and the deputy, because the prayers are not so that they can continue doing what they're doing. No. The prayer is so that they can provide whatever it is that the citizens voted for them to provide.
You know, I hear what you guys are saying, you know, and yes, there's the importance of the budget and discussion of budgets. There's the importance of your member of parliament being present when an issue as weighty as budget estimates is being discussed, because that's when you're basically saying how much the government is going to spend in the next year, how much it's going to borrow, okay? There's a big issue when your member of parliament is representing you adequately on matters of taxation.
Yes.
Because that's what the finance bill is all about. How they contribute to that conversation about taxation, how they vote on the matter of taxation. Clear, it's all clear. But then there's also that issue of their level of participation and engagement. Are they absent from the house without reason, or are they absent from the house with reason? Some of them started going on to social media and other places to explain themselves and their absence. So, for instance, I saw Babu Owino explained. He has a case in court today. He had a meeting with his lawyer. He had planned it. And in his understanding previously, this matter, this report by the Finance Committee was to be tabled in Parliament. It was to have 2 days of debate in his understanding.
Okay.
Shock on him when he hears that the debate on that report is only going to be 1 day with a voting on the same day. And now he has a case tomorrow in court. He has a lawyer to go and engage with and, you know, discuss these matters with. And it's so he had to explain to his minority leader, Bwana Opiyo, and I'm sorry, boss, I will not be present in the afternoon because I have to do this. Is that not, somebody who is saying, look, there were circumstances that led me not to be present?
Do all of them have those kind of circumstances?
Many have.
You know, as I said, even if everything, all the 92 can actually explain justifiably where they were and what they were doing, it is not that they're being judged by. It's the precedents they have set with their behavior. It's decisions that this august house has made that I, as a citizen of Kenya, have felt these people are not representing me. They are representing God alone knows what, but I am certainly not in the God knows alone what. I am not there. Okay? So
It is not you that represent.
yes, so now when you come to a situation such as this, and there are 92 of them absent, as I said, I am inclined to disbelieve. I am inclined not to think of anything positive. That is my inclination because of my lived experience when it comes to the decision-making process of members of this august house. That's really it. You see, when you have a discussion such as the one we have, I saw in the papers that Azimio are saying that they are going to produce their version of a budget. Okay? This question, we have asked it again, so let me ask it again. What is so difficult about having a shadow cabinet? what is the issue? The members of parliament who represent Azimio who have come here have told us about parliamentary rules. We get it. That's parliament. Who says when you have a shadow government, it has to be there must be parliamentarians? Where does it say? Azimio has many members who are not in parliament, and they're very capable people. And if it isn't people who are politically inclined, you're talking about people, for instance, who understand finance.
Yep.
We have many people in this country who understand and who would be able to present a case that would say, look, this is what we offer.
Yeah.
The opportunity for Azimio to tell us what they would do differently is going as we see. It's passing. We're watching it passing. It's like that long train. When
going.
it starts, you're just seeing it. You're just seeing it. You're just seeing it. Then all of a sudden it's gone.
Boop, it's
gone.
finished. And there you are left with the
Yes.
track, looking at the track.
And then they're going to find reason to explain to us what they were doing. And then they're going to tell us to go for demonstrations.
Yeah.
Yet, an opportunity that has presented itself where they can actually demonstrate that they know what they're doing. They've claimed this government is clueless. Okay, be clueful. Tell us exactly,
Clue.
yes, how it is you would be able to do this.
And this was another opportunity to come out with the robustness and vigor that they've been talking and shouting about. It's going to be very difficult to convince people otherwise tomorrow and say, look, and for me, it really doesn't matter on which side you are on. It doesn't matter which side you are on. To then come out
As long as you're a member of parliament.
yes, and then you say on a day when something mattered, and that's it. If it is setting precedent, and it's not even at third reading yet, it is setting precedent for what is going to happen in the future, and that is how seriously they take it. Are you kidding me? For something that, again, I go back, for something that is going to affect how you will spend money, that will have a direct impact on how Kenyans are going to live over the next 365 days, how they will be taxed, how they will operate within the boundaries of this country, how you will operate with other people outside of Kenya, everything depends right here. What other possible thing could have been so important that you say, okay, on this day, it is necessary for me to be doing that thing? And here you are, the test of your representation, your legislation, your oversight was right there. So if this is how you're doing and it's only second reading, what will you do when it is third? Or will you have a eureka moment when the scales will fall off your eyes and then you come back for third reading and say, okay, it is actually important that we be here? No. From the very beginning, you've been shouting that, yes, we can do, okay, here it is. Or are you actually accepting that indeed this is a house that is under capture? Because you being away is an answer. There's yes, there's no, and there's your absence, which is an answer. It is an answer. Now it is up to us to decipher what that answer is. But it's flowing in the minds of many people right now that maybe you were absent by choice.
Of course, they were absent by choice, but you don't do. Every time we have this discussion of capture,
it's not consequences of going to hospital
no,
going to court. Those are not the choices I'm talking about.
Or being kidnapped. No, that's not what we're referring to. And also, it points it points a finger at the executive. This has nothing to do with the executive. No. It has to do with the individual members. If indeed they are susceptible to influence, it has nothing to do with the executive. Executives around the world do exactly that. They are always trying to manipulate their respective parliaments to do what they want. Those who set up this system understood that human nature being what it is, when somebody is in a position of authority, there are certain things they will do to ensure that they continue that authority and get the things they want done. Oh, it was understood. So if someone is susceptible to influence and succumbs to that influence, it has nothing to do with the executive. No.
It's not their behavior or lack thereof or blah, blah, blah.
No, meteorological department tells you we are going into the rainy season, okay? And it starts raining. What do you think rainy season means? That it's going to rain, okay? Then you start talking about, there's mud on the road. What did you think exactly?
What did you expect when it rains?
Yes. And on the day it rains, and you said, I brought my umbrella yesterday, it didn't rain. And then today it has rained. And
now here I am today.
And then what do you want to blame? The umbrella, the Met Department? You want
Then
to blame?
you come and say, don't worry, tomorrow when it rains, if it rains, I'll come with my umbrella.
Yes.
Here you had a chance. Here you had a chance to not be rained on because everybody told you, look, you can even feel the drops. They're there.
You know.
Then you decide, okay, maybe not.
It's not raining now, so it's okay. And then you walk out of your house.
And you see the effects
It
of
starts
rain.
raining. And it doesn't matter what you do. Even if you walk back to the house, you'll be rained on. If you stay on the same spot, you'll still be rained on. And yet you had an opportunity not to be rained on. No.
So several members of parliament were absent yesterday as this vote was taking place. And this vote was to either accept or reject a report of the National Assembly Committee on Finance and National Planning, which was saying, members, please, let's pass this finance bill, but also let's pass it with these amendments as we propose them. That's what they were discussing yesterday, and that was the vote. Several members were not able to vote. Some were suspended. For example, the Honorable Rosa Buyu, suspended. TJ Kajwang, suspended. Sabina Shege, suspended. Others were absent. And several members were not in parliament because they were absent for one reason or the other. You know, when now it says
But Eric,
absent.
why were they suspended again?
They had
You remember that time when there was an issue
When they had a discussion
about Sabina?
about Sabina. Yes. So why are they suspending Sabina and the discussion was about it?
See, it's like when there's a technical foul given in basketball and two of you are fighting. See, two of you are fighting. Out of you, both.
But
both
were
of
those
you
people
are-
fighting or were they attempting to fight?
They caused a fracas. I mean,
Okay.
the speaker has already done a ruling and then you're standing there.
Out.
Please, can you go and sit
A
there?
chill pill.
Yeah. Tonge badai. So that badai happens
Has not come
to...
yet.
Yeah, so they were suspended. But there were many members of parliament who were absent as well. If we look at those that voted, 176 voted yes to that bill, 81 voted no to the bill, and many other MPs, over 90 members of parliament, were not present to cast their votes. Now, if we subtract those ones that have been suspended, so they could not even enter the chamber, even if they wanted to, where were the others? That's a question today. That Ndu is saying, Apana, these people have let us down completely.
Don't come
Do
to us
you
tomorrow.
agree with Ndu? I don't. CT does. Let's hear you. 0719-012-600 after this break.
Spice.
There was heated debate in the National Assembly yesterday. The report of the Committee on Finance and National Planning with regards to the finance bill. It went through the second reading with a majority voting for it yes. 176 members voting yes, 81 voting no, more than 90 members absent. For one reason or the other. Ndu is saying, surely, this is a very, very important bill. If you just follow the pulse of the nation, this is one thing that Kenyans were right up there with. And they were saying, this matter is a big one. It's a second reading. There's going to be a third reading on this particular bill. But 90 members of parliament being absent, where are they? That's what Ndu is asking. Walikuwa wapi? Walikuwa wapi? And I'm saying, I know, for example, there are members of parliament, National Assembly and Senate who are in Morocco attending some meeting arranged well in advance, traveling well before yesterday.
Okay.
There are some who may be here or there on such similar other engagements, still parliamentary work. Okay?
I say, kpata, they didn't pass 20.
There were others who were suspended. Now, those ones we know. Suspended by the speaker and told you've been suspended from being in a parliamentary sitting for X number of times. Suspended. Okay? Others, for one reason or the other, Babu Owino had a meeting with his lawyer because he has a case today. And he needed to, engage with the lawyer, And it was a long meeting. In fact, even by 10 p.m., he was still in the meeting with his lawyer. So the thing is, your issue is, where were these members?
Yeah.
On such an important matter.
Absolutely.
It's
What
about
else would you have
representation
been
for there should be no taxation without representation. Your representative is not in the house to discuss your taxation measures. Where are they?
Then over the next 365 days, they want to come and be talking to you and telling you, meh. When it was important for you to be there, you were not there. Then now what do you want to come and talk to me about?
Meh. MMA is important.
How many members of parliament voted yes?
176.
Okay. How many voted no?
81.
How many were absent?
92.
It means that even if they were there and they voted no,
Still.
And that's why I told you that I'm not even talking about the numbers per se, because okay, let's us say that all of them were there. It was then 176 to 172. Abi, let's just say all the ones that were absent would have voted no. That's what it would have looked like.
Yes.
176.
The vote would still have been lost.
Yes, but your absence shows something more than the number. Your absence shows that there is something more important that you were doing than actually coming and representing the views of the people, that you went all over the place shouting and spending millions to say, give me that position to represent you. Your absence is a slap in the face to those people. Your absence on a day when something was very important, even if, and that's why I said, it doesn't matter what side these 92 people were on or not. But that it shows in such high numbers that, you know what, okay, yeah, well, it doesn't really matter. I'll come for the next one. If there's no next one, we'll catch up later.
Do I have your permission to quote you?
Now.
Yes, right now.
Yeah.
Do I have your permission?
Yes.
You know, if people keep telling you you're insignificant and they don't care about you, please pay attention.
Exactly. That's again, they are telling you that we really don't care. It's not about you.
You people
and
are
here's
being,
another
you're being
opportunity.
too harsh.
I beg you.
Hush.
And
You're
this
being
is another
harsh.
time.
Yes.
If you doubted, you see those things I've been telling you for the last how many years has it been, CT?
It's 3.
Thank you. Those things that I've been saying. If there was a dictionary, and it was, in fact, let's say Pictionary, and it needed pictures, you would now take the picture of those empty seats in Parliament yesterday next to your leadership does not care about you. That would be the picture next to that thing. Audiovisual representation
There's a
of your
phrase.
people don't care about you.
There's an English
They
phrase.
keep
There's an
telling
English.
you every day.
The
that,
English
okay, it
language
is-
has words like due to unavoidable circumstances. Please
usually
internalize
used
those words.
as a blanket
Let's
cover
go to
when
the
you
calls.
don't want to give the real reason.
Let's go to the calls and hear what people have to say, members of the public. Due to unavoidable circumstances, your member was not present yesterday during a crucial vote.
Due to unavoidable circumstances, come 2027,
Maybe they were
boot you
sick.
out.
Maybe they were unwell. Boaz. No, let's start with Robert. Robert in Nandi.
Yeah. How are you?
Mambo namna gani?
Tuko sawa lakini ugonjwa tu. We are okay but we are naturally sick. Lakini by the way, how is Nduan, our lady there?
Ndu is not
Ndu,
okay.
our lady there.
I'm
What
fine.
is happening? I
You know,
hear
Ndu
she's
is actually a
complaining
lady,
so
so
much.
there's only
She's just
Ndu and the lady is
complaining.
one person.
The old man.
She's unhappy.
She's just unhappy.
Oh, I hear.
What do you think,
Now
Robert?
let me just say we have a very bogus opposition in this country. Thoroughly bogus, useless, bure kabisa.
Why?
Yeah, because look at it like if they are even to vote no, so what are they offering?
What's their alternative?
Yeah, because even just starting that the levy thing of housing to a tax here, just explaining that there's nowhere that you'll be refunded taxes. Hakuna. So if they are voting no, what are they offering? Because at this moment, I think these are just guys who are riding on, if you fail, they point that and they are able to ride that on the masses for popularity. For now, I think we have no position. We are just done. And I think this is a wild beast moment, Hii tumeingia kwa maji. Those who will swim across, well and good. Those who will be eaten by crocodiles, shauri yao. Those who will drown, shauri yao. Tuende mbele.
Thank you, Robert. Have a good day.
You too.
You too. But Boaz in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning,
and
Boaz.
good morning to everyone else, Ndu and City.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I think thanks for really bringing this to the focus of the public, because what is at stake right now is actually the state itself. Because you see, a state functions when the citizenry are alive and active and are happy and indeed are saying that what is being done in our own interests. But I think what we have observed is the fact that our agencies that should be helping us on oversight, on legislation, and even in budget processes have actually been totally annihilated or completely compromised. So Parliament in its entirety, as we speak now, is actually not dependable. And any Kenyan looking upon them to help us wade through these murky waters is actually misplaced in terms of thinking. I would suggest that this is the time that we should be invoking our Article 1 rights, the sovereignty of the people. And the fact that we do delegate responsibilities to these people, but because they are not able to address or to discharge that mandate effectively, because some of them even fear, and that's why they stay away from Parliament. Because you remember, the president some time back told them, I'll be watching you. So, if they were being watched, so some would rather let me stay away. So I think this is the right time for Kenyans to say, we are recalling back that responsibility of passing the budget. Because the budget is what will make us function as a state.
We hear you.
And when we say that, I think then Kenyans need to recreate a mechanism of resolving this. Even if it means Kenyans themselves saying, let us agree with 1, 2, 3 things, let us throw out 1, 2, 3 things, let us, for example, let us refuse to pay 1, 2, 3 things. How many people will they arrest? If you are going to force us into taxation, which does not make sense, I think Kenyans have got a responsibility to say no. So my point is just one. Let us recall that power we delegated for passing the budget, the financial bill and the budget. Let us recall that power and tell them they can deal with other matters. But that one we are recalling. Thank you.
Thank you, boys. Thomas in Kitale, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Eric, I'm doing fine. Eric, do City.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I concur with Boz 100%. Actually, it's just like taking everything out of my mouth. Ruto was playing and is still playing a long game. Even before he took the oath of office, he had already started poaching people from the other side. And remember, we don't have an opposition in this country. What we have is the majority and minority. And this is what they said in the previous, in the Constitution. But that was not the intention of the makers of the Constitution. They wanted us to have a robust opposition. Now, this process, they're saying that the 92 of them were missing. They were scared because they're preserving themselves. Okay, the moment Ruto said that wale ambao watapinga nataka kuwajua, what did the speaker do? He decided to have an audible vote instead of the secret. Kama ingekuwa ile secret, wengi wange show up. This process ya demonstrations that Raila may fail.
That's what ended up happening, Thomas. First, there was acclamation. And after acclamation, there was division because those many, at least 81 members stood up and that makes the speaker say, all right, so we can have division. And then now they went into the second mode of voting in Parliament, which is you cast your ballot directly. There's nothing like secret ballot in Parliament.
Okay, and remember,
there's record. You log in, so there will be a record of how you voted.
All right. But the other 92 were not aware that this will happen later on.
Yeah, let's just assume they didn't know.
They didn't know that this will happen. And remember, Silvanus Osoro had already whipped 50 Azimio MPs. And he came out publicly and said, 50, I've already gotten 50 in my pocket.
Kabisa.
So now what my suggestion is, this maandamano protest has to be people originated, yani tuanzishe sisi wenyewe, then government will see. I'm not saying an uprising or anything, no, just to show our dissatisfaction.
We hear you.
And that's when they will listen.
I hear you.
But if kama maandamano tu ni Nyanza peke yake, nobody will care. But if it's everywhere, Rift Valley up to Central, everywhere.
Yeah, you. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you. Have a good day, gentlemen
too.
and lady.
You too. Mwafrika in Embu.
Hey, hello, Chief. How are you?
Salama kabisa.
Say hi to my friend Charlie and Ndu.
Joseph, habari
I really
yako?
enjoy your Salama sana Ndugu. I really enjoy your program, bana. You're the only guys who are making sense to Kenyans these days.
Thank you, sir.
Joseph, thank you very much.
Yes. Now, Charlie, remember we were discussing the other day.
Yes, we were.
Our problem is not that we don't have leaders. We don't have leaders. These people we elect to go to parliament, they go there to look for their jobs. Mshahara. You will find that most of our parliamentarians are the laziest and the loudest people in the village. Not the intellects of the village. Ule anajua kupiga kelele sana kijiji ndio anachaguliwa ajili ya kiherehere yake. And you can see, by the way, they have no clue of what is going on in parliament. They do not know anything about this finance bill. How do we, for example, do they have people who train them about how to go through these processes? If you look, we were told somebody wrote on social media yesterday that these guys had been paid. Are we together?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Somebody had said these guys were being given 1 million each to vote down the bill. Now, when you look at this, there seems to be some truth because none of the Kenya Kwanza MPs went missing. But if you look at all these guys, they're Azmios. Can they tell us otherwise that they are representing their own interests or they are representing the interests of the people? The other day, we had a guy who came to your studio telling us he's actually supporting the removal of a corruption bill. He has not told his constituents this is how it's going to benefit them. This is how it's going to help us. Right? These people, some of them are for the interest. And I'm sorry, I'll be brave enough. When you're removing something like corruption bill, look at the people who are heading the top parastatal bodies or top operates in this Kenya. You are giving them a carte blanche. These are the people, I'm sorry to say, and I'm not being trouble. We know what happened during Moi time. Our corporates were looted, zero. Now we come over, somebody from, in fact, my neighboring MP comes over and says, from the Imamba corruption, so what do I be? I'm sorry, our country is in a lot of problems, but it is our own making.
Well,
we choose the loudest man in the village.
Asante sana. Have a good day.
Same to you guys.
Nicholas.
Hi, Eric.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Hi, Ndu.
Good morning.
Good morning. And this is Nigerian Viper. Yeah, no.
Nigerian Viper.
Don't give these guys ammunition.
Yes, Nicholas.
No, I'm a cab driver. I'm a cab driver.
Yes.
I've ensured all my listeners, all my customers listen to you guys because you're doing a very wonderful job.
Asante.
Yes. Now, just a quick one. I don't know why we people are still complaining about these guys in government right now. I remember the president himself saying that, not the president, but his advisor, that is Devin Lee, saying that they're not about fighting corruption. So they'll ensure that, in other words, he was trying to tell us, the corruption will go on, but they'll still look for more money. And they're still doing it right now. They've changed now the narrative. Now it's not lazy about the housing tax. You salaried people, you'll have to pay for our houses, which you're wondering how you get the housing, and you're not a salary.
Yeah.
We are that stupid, man. But anyway, a time will come, guys will rise up, and we'll come back to our senses. And another thing I've just remembered, it's like these guys, the hearsays that we've been listening to, and the rumors. You know, as a cab driver, you hear lots of stories. that as politicians go to Waganga, you know. I hope Kinandu will understand this.
Yes,
well.
he does.
So we are like Tumerogwa, you know.
Oh.
That we can't even tell the truth. You find an
we hear you, Nicholas. Thank you. I've got to pick one more call. Before we conclude, and that's Zachary, who's been on hold. Zachary, good morning.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, everyone there. And let me say this point, yeah?
Yes.
Point one. There is no one who's sending a gun to a shop. He said that she went down to Gevugori, the whole of Gevugori constituency. That was a lie. Like Mr. Arakeri said, that's a lie.
Do you come from Githunguri, Zachary?
He's from Gatondo South.
No, I mean, they are my neighbors, and I talk to them a lot, okay?
More than she does.
So, that one is a lie.
Okay.
The second point, yeah? If you go around the country, especially here on the ground, you would see the soberness of Mr. Ruto's and Mr. Gachagwa's policy of subsidizing production.
Okay.
Very soon, there are a lot of rains that are coming down. Our maize and the basic foods are going to ripen.
Very good. Point number 3.
Production has been. Point number 3. When Mr. Kibaki came, I was around there and you guys were around there. We said, we got this guy is coming to save us and to salvage us from our problems. Now he's telling us to pay tax. And everybody must work at the Akuda Kulegarega. We despise him. But later, we saw the result.
Fruits of our labor.
This is what Mr. Ruto and Mr. Gachagua are saying. And I started following her way back in 205 during the referendum.
Zachary, our time is up. The 3 points are made. Asante sana. Asante. Have a good one. Thank you for all the conversations. Thank you for calling in and for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today. It's 10 a.m. Have a lovely day. We'll see you tomorrow, Friday.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.